Hi, it is, what day is it? Tuesday! It's Tuesday and it is Mrs Mummypenny Talks. Time for Mrs Mummypenny to talk on Facebook and for my podcast. I am loving this lipstick today. So this is relatively new lippy that my neighbour Shelley gave me to try. So Shelley works for Gerard International. I'm going to call them Gerard International, who owns some makeup brands. This is Kissed by Me. So yeah, it looks really cool. And it's meant to last all day. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, thanks for joining me for Mrs Mummypenny Talks. On to episode 6 now. I've been recording a few interviews, getting them in the can. So we've got lots of interviews coming up. Next week should have an interview with James from Wildwood. I'm going to call it Wildwood. Wild Time, not Wildwood, Wild Time, who I met at Stand and Calling earlier in the year. So he's going to come on and talk about some of the wild sort of experiences he does. I'll talk about it more with him next week, but did some great foraging with him and knife carving. If you go into my IGTV, there's a really good video of him speed wood carving a knife. So yeah, I'm going to interview him next week. So what I wanted to talk to you about today was some of the things that I've been up to, some of the money saving things I've been doing, and then I want to talk to you about financial planning and my experience of it, because it's one of these things I think a lot of people don't really understand actually what it means, what you go through with it, and I have experienced it, so I can share my views. So yes, last week, what did I do? So the most exciting thing I did was a day in London on Wednesday, where I went to the very last ever annual Lansons party. So Lansons is a PR agency in London. They predominantly look after sort of financial and insurance companies, so very relevant to what I do on my blog. And it's this huge party on 2 floors in Smiths of Smithson. Just noticed there's some lipstick on my teeth, lovely. And yeah, it's just a really big event where you sort of wander around chatting to people, networking, and you never know who you might end up talking to. Went with Kara from My Best Friend's Guide to Cash, so that was really cool to go there with somebody else, because I don't know about you, but I feel a bit scared going into those kind of events by myself. So yeah, it was good to meet Kara beforehand, and Brie as well. So Brie, Kara's friend, came along too, and yeah, we had a really good night, drinking lots of prosecco and eating some very nice canapes. So yeah, that was Wednesday. Also had Josh's birthday, so I ended up going out for dinner quite a lot last week. Took Josh to the trampoline park for his birthday with his mates. Then we went to Pizza Express afterwards. Yes, we got into Pizza Express before anything's happened to them. I haven't heard anything more since last week as to whether Pizza Express are going to go under or not. I hope not, because I really like it. So did my bit to support them last week. Great little money saving tip for birthday parties. Well, certainly if you live in Hertfordshire, we've got there's a trampoline park called Better Extreme, which is a not-for-profit run trampoline park and sort of activity park for kids. After school, it was £6.50 per child for trampoline park. Now, when it's normally, I know, like Airspace and the likes of those sort of parks near me are more like £11-12, so £6.50 was very good. Boys absolutely loved it. Josh had a great birthday, so that was good. And what else did we do? We also went to Wagamama's for a couple of days before his birthday. That was his choice of somewhere to eat. My favourite place to eat as well as his. So yay, that was good. So yeah, it was quite a spendy week, because I also went out for dinner with some friends. Quite a spendy week on food, and it brought me on to a post that I've just published today, actually. So if you go on over to my website, there's a post which is emotional spending and emotional eating. Now, it's been sort of going in my mind for it's been drifting over my mind for the past sort of 12 hours is writing this post. So I just wrote it this morning. But I shared a post on Instagram yesterday of a Prada wallet that I bought in an emotional spending splurge, and it was a really popular post. Maybe the honesty of why I do it, maybe because it was a Prada wallet, I don't know. But yeah, I have a tendency, if I put myself into particular situations, of just sort of emotionally splurging on something big. So this happened a couple of months ago. I was in Selfridges. I'd had a glass of wine, so we've got a dangerous combination there anyway. And yeah, I went to Prada and ended up buying something. Now, it's not quite as bad as it sounds, because I had the money in my bank, wasn't getting into any debt to buy it. Obviously that money could be rerouted into something else, it always can, but I had the money there to pay for it. So in fact I have this pot called fun money, I did have then, so I was able to spend some of that on the Prada wallet. But it just sort of got me thinking that there's emotional spending, but there's also emotional eating, and I'm quite aware that I'm doing that quite a bit at the moment. And it's almost like you're allowed to spend money on food, be that healthy or unhealthy. And what I'm doing more of now is just buying unhealthy sort of treat food, and I'm not thinking about the financial impact of it, because it's just, you know, budget that I have for money on a monthly basis. But there's still the emotional trigger of spending and then eating, and it's not healthy food that I'm eating. So I think it's quite cathartic to write about it and publish it and sort of take the thoughts out of my head and to put it onto a bit of paper. So that's already made me feel better. I have ordered a vegetable box today, so we've got that coming on Friday. So as I was writing it, I went over to Instagram and there was an advert for a vegetable box in there. It's like, does Instagram really read what I'm writing on my computer to come up with a relevant advert? But yes, I ordered a vegetable box, and I'm going out for a walk after I've recorded this to get out into the nature and the countryside. So yeah, I'm really trying to understand why I do it, and to combat ways of getting around it and making myself feel better, and not emotionally spending and not emotionally eating. Do like emotional exercise, or go for an emotional walk into the countryside. That's far better. Go for an emotional sleep. But yeah, so yeah, head on over to my blog. That's the post I've written today. Quite a personal one. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was a post I wrote last week about financial planning. So when you have a chunk of money, or you just need some help with sort of financial planning and assets for the rest of your life, it's difficult to know who to talk to. So you have some sort of professional people who can help you out. So you've got financial advisors and you've got financial planners. Now a financial advisor is going to sort of look at how much money you've got and recommend what products you could use to make that money work better for you. But then you've got financial planners who are a bit more of a rare breed, who sort of look at money in a very different way. And I had a session with a financial planning company called Drewbury, just to talk about sort of my current financial state of affairs, what my plans are for the next few years to put money aside, and then what I want, at what point I want to be financially independent. So therefore, at what point I want to have enough money to not have to work or earn. And so it's quite a sort of holistic, rounded conversation about what you're doing now, sort of looking at if that's going to be enough money for now and for the rest of your life. So questions were asked like, at what point do you want to retire? I'm going to use that word retire because it's a word that everybody recognises, but I just don't like it as a word. I prefer to use the point at which you're financially independent, so the point at which you have enough money to sort of fund the rest of your life. So we pushed some sums through. So basically I've got a chunk of money now and I add to that money. So I've got a chunk of money now, and I add to that money every month via pension contributions, and then I've also got an ISA that I contribute money to. So we looked at what that's worth now, and projecting those values forward. So I'm 42 now, for the next sort of 20 years. Yeah, because to get enough money for the rest of my life, I can't stop earning until I'm 65. So that is based on my current, I put around £500 a month into pensions. That's what I'm meant to be doing. Actually not doing it at the moment, because I've put things on pause because I'm having to reroute some money into savings for other big events that are happening. But if I did carry on putting £500 a month, I would have enough money to live the rest of my life beyond the age of 65. And we also talked about the sort of things you'd want to do once you retire. So we're assuming that house will be paid off, so bills will take a drastic reduction down. But I'd love to go travelling every sort of month, every couple of months, to somewhere different. From that financial independence point onwards. So that's sort of taken into account. Any big events with children, so when they go off to, if they go off to university, all of that's taken into account. And it's basically like a financial view of your entire life, just so, and you can just work out that if what you're putting aside at the moment, if that's enough money for the rest of your life. And I found it a really reassuring process. The advisor from Dewberry, we did it all over the phone, sort of the question session, and then he went off and pulled together loads of different scenarios that we then went through sort of a week later, and talked about what could affect my finances. It's to the positive, what could affect them to the negative. So I pretty much know that if I am to put this £500 a month aside for the next 20 years, then I'll be pretty much all right. But I could do with putting a bit more, because if like stock market crashes happened, that could affect the value of funds. What else did we look at? We looked at things like risk profile. So I'm quite I take risks, so I invest in quite a risky way, because I sort of see like I don't need the money for a very long time, so I'm happy to put it into a higher level of risk profile. Risk just means you can potentially get higher returns, but also you can lose more as well. But over the long term, it'll go up and down. It all should smooth out, hopefully. But yeah, if switching my money into a lower risk profile, what would happen to overall pot then? It was just a really reassuring process. So the advisor to spend some time going through that with you. Now, normally with financial planners, there is a fee to pay for this kind of advice. So because what they'll also do at the end of the process is recommend if you've got the right products for your future. So there's a fee that you need to pay, and just for the time and the analysis they do for you. But I just think it was almost like a therapy session of because I just never knew if what I was doing was that enough for the rest of my life. Was that enough money to be putting aside? Because I was just sort of randomly doing it. I came up with a bit of a nominal £500 a month amount, as long as I could afford it that month. Is that enough? So yeah, it was a great. I highly recommend it to anybody who is thinking, am I doing enough with my money? At what point can I retire? At what point can I give up work? At what point can I switch into doing something maybe that's voluntary? Or so it was very good. Check out Dewberry. Full disclosure, the post I did last week was a paid post, and I've done quite a bit of work with Dewberry because they also offer insurance products as well. So I've got my income protection insurance with them, and life insurance as well. So yeah, they offer lots of really great products, sort of for your financial protection for now and for the future. So yeah, what have we got coming up then? Half term is not that far off, although yeah, half term in Hertfordshire is a week later than the rest of the country, it seems. So yes, our half term starts not next week, the week after. We are going to go away for a few days. I found a very cute little chalet on Airbnb. I keep going back to Airbnb. I love it. It's a really great place to get cheap accommodation. So yeah, I found a nice sort of mobile home chalet thing on the Norfolk coast, going back there again with the boys for 5 days, so that'll be nice. Hopefully it doesn't rain every day, although quite like going to the beach when it's rainy. Yeah, lots of seal spotting and walks on the beach, and it'll be good. So that's the plan for half term. And yeah, trying to close out this year as best as I possibly can with work and projects. So I've been manifesting what type of work I want to come my way, because I need to get as much cash in as possible in before the end of the year. I've just changed my year end to the end of this year rather than the end of August. I had this nominal year end set for the end of August for no reason, so I've just changed that to the end of December. It makes far more sense. So yeah, lots going on, lots planned for the future. And yeah, I can't believe it's halfway through October. Right, I'm rabbiting on now. I'm not really talking about anything of meaningful use, so I'm going to say goodbye. But thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and yeah, we'll be back next week. I'm not going to be live next week because I'm going to pre-record the interview with James, but I will pop the video onto Facebook and YouTube, and we'll publish the audio when it's already at 11 o'clock next Tuesday. So thanks for listening. See you later.